Year after year, I struggled to gain muscle, especially in the month of Ramadan, a month where I would go every day without eating or drinking from sunrise until sunset. And actually, forget about gaining muscle. I'd routinely lose 10 pounds during the month, much of it coming from muscle. But this year was different. I started eating a very specific diet during the month, and it is this diet that helped me build muscle in the month of Ramadan, something I was never able to do prior. And in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what that diet was, why it worked to get me the results I was looking for, and why this is applicable to anyone, even if you're not fasting. Before I begin, I just want to shout out my ebook. It's a 65,000 word guide to help you live a healthier life and get you to your dream physique. And if you're the first one to buy it, you can use this coupon code somewhere on the screen here, FIRST5, to get it for only $5. There's only one of those coupons, so act fast. So in order to give you guys a proper understanding, I need to rewind a little bit and explain some more things. So what exactly is Ramadan? As I said in the intro, it's a month where Muslims around the world spend every day fasting. The fast goes from sun up to sundown during the day, so between that time you can't eat or drink at all. For me, with where I live, it occurs in the last few years at early springtime, mid-springtime ish, so the days are pretty long, and as a result the fasts are pretty long. It's around 16 to 17 hours. With such a long time not eating or drinking, it's natural to think that it's pretty obvious that you will lose some amount of muscle. And that is what I thought for a long time. And again, like I said, it all changed this year. But staying in the prior years, I would lose a lot of just weight in general. And with that around 10 pounds of weight loss, a lot of it would be muscle. Probably around half of it would be. And I would end the month with looking a lot slimmer, not just from a waist perspective, but also just from a muscle perspective. I didn't have the muscle I used to have. I have my training log from a prior year here, and I can actually show you the measurement. So in a prior year, from the start of the month to the end of the month, I lost like 1.5 inches on my chest, 1 inch on my shoulders, and 1/2 inch on my arms. And yeah, like it would before it would be terrible for my physique, and I just kind of accepted it, that's kind of just how it's going to be. There's nothing I can do when I'm not eating for a month. But again, it all changed this year. But what was I eating during those prior years? During my my breakfast to start the fast, and then the sort of dinner, or I guess in a way it's breakfast to break the fast, I would just eat typical foods, a lot of bread and eggs usually for breakfast, and then in the evening time, just whatever usually my mom cooked at home, which is usually like a rice and then some kind of like curry to go along with it, which had like some amount of meat but not a lot. So mostly I was eating a bunch of carbs, and I wasn't making a lot of muscle. I was losing a lot of muscle actually. So what then did I change this year? I've mentioned it already a few times that everything changed this year. So what exactly was it that I did? This year I started staying pretty strict on a keto diet during the month. So in the morning time for breakfast, I would usually just have like 5 or 6 eggs with a slice or 2 of cheese, and then like a little, I guess you could say like a little kebab. So it was like meat, it was beef. And that's what I would start my fast with. And then to break my fast, I would pretty much, I think maybe 28 out of the 30 days, I had a steak to break my fast, and that was it. Before I just jump to the results, I want to talk about how I felt during the month. So in prior years, whenever I would fast, it would be incredibly difficult. I would feel the craziest like withdrawals of food. Like my stomach would be like churning inside. I would feel like dizzy at times, or even like sometimes like I'm about to collapse. Some of that could have been from the dehydration as well, but just I really had like big food withdrawals. I was like, somebody give me food right now, or I feel like I'm gonna collapse. It wasn't uncommon for me to like, life went on, right? But like once I come home from school or work in later years, it's just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna hit the bed and lay down for the next like 4 or 5 hours until it's time to break our fast. But this year, staying on the keto diet during the month, I really felt like I had much more energy than I've ever had in years prior. This year, I was even able to work out at like almost like you would think similar, but honestly like a better level to what I was able to work out before or in any years prior. And it was pretty insane. My energy levels were great, and obviously you do get a little bit hungry, and I would get thirsty as well. There's not really a remedy to being dehydrated, but it was nowhere close to how it used to be in the years before, and I still felt like I had a lot more energy than I ever did before. From specifically a working out perspective, I was actually consistently still progressively overloading. So all the signs showed that yes, I was building muscle. I was coming in day after day, week after week during my workouts, and I was still doing more reps or more weight than last time, which was obviously a great sign. And again, something that I was never able to do in years prior. In years prior, even just maintaining would almost be a miracle, and most of the time I would regress. So yes, throughout the month, all the signs were good, but what was the actual aftermath in the end? What were the results? Well, as I said in the title and the introduction, it was the first time that at the end of the month, I was not only able to just maintain whatever muscle I had, I was actually able to gain a considerable amount of muscle. I have my measurements here again, and throughout the month, I gained about like half an inch on my chest, half an inch on my shoulder width, maybe a little under a quarter of an inch on my arms, around like 0.15, 0.2 inches. And I mean, even a little bit on my forearms, and my waist measurement stayed really the same. And I actually, in prior years, I would always lose like 10 pounds. I'm going to switch units here a little bit, but this year I actually gained 1 kilogram. So I gained 2.2 pounds throughout the month, which was, unheard of for me in years prior. I always lost weight. And as a result, I always lost muscle too. But again, this year was very different. So then what exactly is it about the keto diet that helped me gain muscle in the month of Ramadan when I was never able to do so before? Well, as is obvious, it all has to do with what you're eating. So the complete, basically, elimination of carbs really helped me to gain muscle. And it's because carbs are really not as good as a source of energy as they're often made out to be. Yes, they can provide, what do they call it? Fast digesting energy for the body, but it's not the efficient source of energy. The thing with carbs is when you eat them, your blood sugar spikes, but then just as fast, really, your blood sugar comes down too. So that energy spike is only so long, and it's not efficient. Once you get rid of carbs and you get what's called fat adapted, as I was when I was on a keto diet, you're able to tap into your fat stores for energy, and your fat stores provide a very stable source of energy. So even if you're going 16, 15, 17 hours without eating, you don't really feel that level of like lethargy and just lack of energy like I would before, which is what really helped me to be able to work out hard and be able to progressively overload. And at the end of the day, it's not a known fact, but it should be, carbs are just fattening. They do fatten you more than any other of the macronutrients. So when you eat carbs, like I mentioned before, your blood sugar goes up and then it comes back down. When your blood sugar goes up, your pancreas has to release more of a hormone called insulin. And eventually it has to do this so often because your body builds a tolerance to these blood sugar spikes as a result of you continually eating carbs, that you become what's called insulin resistant, and the amount of insulin that you're producing is also just out of whack. And when your insulin levels are out of whack, it really just becomes a fat storing hormone. And lastly, cutting out carbs meant that I was only eating those macronutrients that are important for having good health and a good physique overall. So I was only eating healthy fats and healthy proteins. I was cutting out carbs pretty much completely, which are really just junk. They don't really provide any muscle building or even health value. And also, by nature, what comes with not having carbs and eating a lot more protein and fat just to fill your stomach means that you are eating generally a higher protein diet. So despite me only eating 2 meals a day and going like 16 hours without eating, I was still probably getting at least 0.8 grams per pound of body weight, or maybe even up to 1 gram per pound of body weight. So all in all, cutting out carbs gave me more energy. I was avoiding nutrients that are fattening, and I was only eating the macronutrients that are good for building muscle and maintaining a good physique. So you may or may not have realized it, but those 3 points I just made are not mutually exclusive with fasting at all. They're applicable to anyone who's not fasting either. This is why I really recommend a keto, or even going a bit further, a carnivore diet to everyone. Again, it'll provide you more energy, you'll avoid foods that aren't fattening, and you'll be eating a pretty high protein diet. And for that reason, I've actually never come off the diet. While I am framing this video from the perspective of that month of Ramadan where I was fasting, that was really just that 1 month experiment in there where I had never done it before. But either side of the month of Ramadan, I had been on the carnivore diet or keto/carnivore diet for some period of time. And whether it was before or whether it was after, I realized that, I make better gains and I just feel better overall when I'm on this diet. And that's why I tried it in the month. That's why I'm still sticking to it even now. Even now, I feel at my best. I build the most muscle while losing fat, actually, when I'm on this diet. And I'm a big believer of it. I highly recommend that you educate yourself on the diet and give it a shot. My book is definitely a good resource to educate yourself on the diet, but obviously it's not the only resource. There'll be a lot of people who fearmonger this diet, but trust me, I'm doing it and I've felt better than ever before. A lot of the people who are the detractors of the diet have never even tried it. So don't be like one of those people. Even if you have your doubts, try it for a week, try it for 2 weeks, and see how you feel. I promise you that you'll feel better and you'll build more muscle. Anyways, to summarize, the keto/carnivore diet was the only diet that's allowed me to build muscle in this month of Ramadan. Something that no other diet has ever been able to do for me. Now that's powerful.